Well, for Republicans, campaign 2016 has so far been about how to take on Donald Trump. CBS News political director and host of Face the Nation, John Dickerson, did just that in a one-on-one interview. And John joins us now live from New York. Good to talk to you, John.
Hey, Rick. Thanks.
So did Trump make any news for you?
Oh, sure. He made some news, he made some news this evening by saying that he would be okay with Paul Ryan as the Speaker of the House. The reason that's, of course, important is a lot of the ultra-conservatives who've been giving the House leaders some difficulty in life tend to align themselves with Trump and the movement that Trump is taking hold of out in the country in the presidential race. And so Donald Trump was the one who said that Kevin McCarthy was too weak for the job of Speaker. Takes, in fact, some credit for having Mr. McCarthy drop out of the race. So that's some immediate news on the story of the day. And then, of course, he talked about a variety of other things that will be newsworthy, and we'll just have to wait till Sunday.
Well, I know CBS News has some new polling that will come out on Sunday, but Trump says he is not dropping out of the race, and all the latest poll numbers I've shown, show him that he is still in the lead. Do you think that he could really be the Republican nominee?
Well, his lead has been pretty stable, and there have been about 7 or 8 what were supposed to be near-death experiences for him, but they weren't near-death at all. His numbers either went up or they stayed solid. So at the moment, it looks quite good for him, but we will see if he can translate all of the public enthusiasm he has into an actual campaign organization. In Iowa, in particular, enthusiasm must be channeled into a little bit of a quirky caucus process. That's not so easy to do. It requires actual organization on the ground. Will he be able to do all of that? But he's been able to survive a lot of the hurdles, or I should say clear a lot of the hurdles that people have put before him. So if he's been able to do that, it means it is possible, and a lot of Republicans are saying it is possible that he could win the nomination, whereas, of course, at one point they thought it was completely impossible.
The first Democratic debate is coming up this coming week. We just heard a story about Joe Biden, who says he is still on the fence. I'm wondering, what do you think we're going to see in that debate? And don't you think that if Joe Biden thought he could win the Democratic nomination, that he would get in this race?
I think that's probably right. He's been thinking about the presidency his entire life. If he were not to run, it would not only be against his son, Beau Biden, who passed away. His son had asked him to run. There's that emotional component. And also it would be essentially for Joe Biden turning off his political career forever if he decided not to walk into that last door. So there's a lot of emotion. If he thought he could get to the nomination, he would probably do it. I think what we'll see in that debate that he's not going to be in is Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. I wouldn't imagine there's going to be a lot of engagement between them, but Martin O'Malley, who's quite far back in the polls, I think he probably has an incentive to do something to shake things up. The question is just whether he'll be able to do it.
He's got nothing to lose. John, good to talk to you. Thanks so much. And you can catch John Dickerson's interview with Donald Trump on Face the Nation this Sunday at 10:30 in the morning right here on CBS 4.
It's suspenseful.
Yeah.